Underneath the hood of the Kia K4, there are two different powertrains that are available. It's either going to be a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine, and then there's a 1.6-liter turbocharged engine instead. This is the GT-Line Turbo, so it's got the 1.6, which pushes out 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Putting myself into sport mode here. You could also use the paddles if you wanted to control the gears here too, but let's rely on the vehicle to do its thing. We'll go in 3, 2, and... Beautiful. Throw in that lane change assist as well. But the 0 to 60 performance inside of the K4 is pretty acceptable. Is it the most powerful car in the Kia lineup? No. But if you're looking for a nice peppy car, this is a pretty good choice. If you want the most possible power inside of your K4, you are absolutely going to want to go for the GT-Line 1.6 Turbo. It is an absolute blast. You get like 50% more power in comparison. If you're just looking for a nice little car to get you from A to B, the 2-liter is still a pretty solid choice at the same time. Underneath the hood here is a nice simple design. You can easily check change your oil if you're doing work yourself, and then you can easily top up your wiper fluid on top of that. The warranty inside of the Kia lineup is unchanged year over year. So it's 5 years in Canada for basic and powertrain, 5-year basic in the US with powertrain going up to 10 years. And then you always have the option of increasing your warranty at time of purchase. I've seen Kia cars get over 300,000 kilometers, so 200,000 miles plus, but it does hinge on you actually taking care of your car. Regularly scheduled maintenance and regular oil changes will make sure that you get the best possible life you can out of your ride. You're going to find LED headlights in every trim level of the Kia K4. The highest available trim level, though, has a unique LED light setup, which just looks solid at nighttime. From a technology perspective, in the highest trim level, you'll have a forward park sensing system, and then there's a front-facing camera for an available surround view monitor, so full 360 cam. That is exclusive for the highest available trim level though, so you won't find those pieces of technology in any of the lower trims. But there are some pretty good driving assistance technologies, including a lane keep assist, lane follow assist, along with adaptive cruise control. And then the overall styling in the front end just works well. I'm a big fan of the glossy black highlights throughout. There's a nice metallic highlight up high and down low on top of that. This part of the road is usually pretty noisy. Like you hear a bit of road noise. It's not the most quiet interior. You're only going to find the K4 with front-wheel drive. It doesn't matter which version of the vehicle that you're in, the sedan, the hatchback, etc. But front-wheel drive with a solid set of winter tires, if you're in northern states or in Canada, more than acceptable. And the responsiveness, especially when you get into the sport mode here, it's such a peppy little bugger. Nice and responsive too, but that's just one of the benefits of throwing yourself into that sport mode. And if we look at the 180 here, oh yeah, look at that, beauty, good turning radius. It handles really, really well, so no real complaints from that perspective. I would like to see more drive modes because in other Kia cars, you're going to have the option for like an eco mode or a smart mode. I'd like to see this inside of the K4 on top of that, but it's not available. But still, it's a nice car. You're going to find 16, 17, or 18-inch wheels available inside of the K4 depending on which trim level that you're in. The GT line has an 18-inch wheel, and then when you get into the highest trim level, you've got a beautiful glossy black wheel available. And the glossy black with this deep blue, it goes incredibly well together. I'm a huge fan of this color combination. If you're in one of the lower trim levels that doesn't have the blacked out wheels, you could always do something aftermarket or just hydro dip them instead if you wanted to save some cash. Filling up fuel inside of the K4 is done along the driver's side. One nice thing is that when the car is locked, the fuel door is also locked. It's a cap system as well, so if you needed that double layer of protection, you could always go for an aftermarket cover that's got a key. The fuel quality inside of the K4, it doesn't matter if you're in the 2-liter or the 1.6 turbo, regular gas. So 87 octane is all you need to use in pretty much every Kia car. There's really no benefit of using a premium fuel. The 1.6 turbo, you could maybe argue for that, but still, 87, it'll be okay. Looking at the overall fuel economy inside of the K4, it's actually surprisingly good for both the 2-liter and the 1.6-liter as well. For the difference in fuel economy, I would say that the 1.6-liter is worth it because you get 50% more power in comparison. But like I said, if you don't care about the power, you just want a nice car with good fuel economy to get you from A to B, the 2-liter definitely has you covered. You're going to find LED taillights in every trim level of the Kia K4. And the rear end profile does look fairly solid. From a technology perspective, in the highest available trim level, you're going to find the reverse park sensing system, but across the lineup, you will find a backup camera along with a rear wiper. And that's one nice thing about the hatchback version compared to the regular sedan. The sedan doesn't have a rear wiper, whereas the hatchback does. So huge benefit in my eyes. Getting into the boot of the K4 is going to be a manual process. Just to the right-hand side of the backup camera underneath, there's a little button there to release. This one has the available cargo shield, which can be useful if you wanted to block off valuables that are in the trunk. Easy enough to remove. From a feature perspective, because this is the GT line, you've got a little woofer in the back along the right side. Along the left, there's a 12-volt power point. So that's one of the two that are available inside of this car. There's a little storage tray in the back here, and lifting that up, you're going to find a mini spare tire along with the jack stand. That is one nice thing, is that you actually do get a spare inside of the K4. You do also have access to Kia roadside assistance just in case you need it. But if you puncture a tire, you have all the necessary gear in order to change it out yourself. Folding down the second row seats is going to be a manual process across the lineup. It's a 40-60 bench, so 40 on the driver, 60 on the passenger. There's just a little tab along the outer part of the seat in order to fold it down. And it's not a completely flat fold, but you do get an amazing amount of space inside of the boot of the K4. The cargo measurements that you're looking at here, behind the first row, I go from right where that trunk door would close to just in behind the little console armrest between the first row seats. So you might gain or lose a little bit of extra space just depending on how far forward or backwards those seats are. But it is plenty spacious inside of the boot of the Kia K4. And just for reference, I'm 6 feet tall. So while I can't fully stretch my legs out, if you did need to use this as a camper, that's available for you if you need it. And that's just one of the benefits of the hatchback style compared to the regular sedan. The key fob for the K4 features remote start and a couple of other neat tricks as well. If you want to walk through on the key fob, you'll find that down in the description of this video. The side view mirrors are going to be manual folding across the lineup. There are some integrated turn signals here. On top of that, they've also got the blind spot monitoring system. There is some intelligent access. You can actually tap the square there to lock the doors, slide in to unlock. You might find driver's seat memory there, but you've also got a heated steering wheel and then heated and ventilated first row seats available, again, just depending on which trim level that you're in. Side view mirrors here, so you've got your basic controls for your mirrors, for your locks, for your windows, etc., with a little bit of door storage there. There are 3 different speaker choices that are available inside of the K4. It's either a 4, 6, or an 8 speaker system, with the 8 speaker Harman Kardon coming into the GT-Line version. From here, you've got your basic controls for the seats, power driver seat, manual or power passenger, depending on the trim. If we look at the first row space inside of the K4. So this is the hatchback version, and I've got 3.5 roughly inches of headspace. Yeah, and the seat's as far down as it's going to go right now. So 6'4", maybe 6'5", depending on how far back you're okay with reclining the seats. But I will give the K4 this. The seat inside of the GT line is incredibly comfortable. And there are a few different types of seating material that you're going to find. It'll be cloth seats in the lower trim levels of the vehicle, and then you're going to find a leatherette seat available otherwise. But the leatherette seat, I mean, when you look at the GT line, I just think that looks solid with the color scheme. You push button start across the lineup. Look at that. If you want full walkthroughs, if you want to know how to use all the different steering wheel buttons, use cruise control, go through the cluster, the infotainment, etc., you'll find full walkthroughs down in the description of this video. There's only a single type of cruise control that's available. The car has paddle shifters too, so minus along the left-hand side, plus along the right-hand side. It's also got a manual drive mode here too. So if you wanted to adjust your gears out this way, you've got the flexibility to do it. The manual mode this way and the paddles work under the same principle. So if you needed to drop down gears, if you wanted to rely on engine braking, etc. But if you want a better explanation of when to use these things, why to use them, how to use them, you'll find that down in the description of this video. The highest trim has a blind spot view monitor. So it utilizes the side-mounted cameras to show you what's going on inside of your blind spot. I think that's a fantastic feature. There are 2 different versions of the cluster, 2 different versions of the infotainment system as well. They're both the exact same size, it's just that the GT line has a few extra customization options, and there's also factory navigation. But even if you didn't have factory nav, you've at least got phone projection, so wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support. Your climate control settings are based off of the middle part of the screen here, with some actual controls down the middle here as well. There are some hot button pushes in order to get to individual elements of the infotainment system, so part of the media setup, things like that. I like that you've got some physical climate controls here, have it go into your windshield face, feet, etc., some sort of Frankenstein combination. There are 2 different USB Type-C charge ports here, so this one is actually for either just charging or charging and data transfer. This one's just for charging. There's a 12 volt here, wireless charge pad depending on the trim with your push start, and then the shifter. Like I said, the shifter feels good in the hand. I like that you've got the manual mode control there too. And even if you didn't want to use the manual mode, you can also change between either a regular drive mode or sport mode. When you get into the GT line, the sport mode look just looks so nice, but it changes at your shift points. There's an auto hold setting. If you've got the sensing system, that'll be there. And then the highest trim. And with that, full surround view monitor. So that 360 cam, so you can see everything that's going on all the way around you. From there are some cup holders here. I like that. So I was a big fan of this style when I was a kid. So these larger cup holders are there. There is a little bit of armrest space there too. Wrist deep inside of that box. From here, there's a little bit of ambient light. You can actually kind of just see it there and then along the door there as well. So subtle, not available across the board, but it does look pretty nice. The glove box here is non-lockable, but I like that you've got physical printed owner's manuals inside of Kia cars. From there, it's a manual dimming rear view mirror, SOS mode just in case. You've got all of your basic light controls there. There's also a control here for the available sunroof. So not standard across the board, but still, that's pretty nice. From here, you've got a little ticket receipt holder. There's a little mirror there as well. Up overhead, a little cabin light on top of that. And then this little feller also stretches out to block all of the sun that might be hitting your face. The visibility, like the sedan version of the K4, is excellent. And then if we look at second row, like that. You've got the Veloster style handles on both the driver passenger side. Not going to find any sort of window shade. In the highest trim, you will find heated second row seats, basic window control, a little bit of storage with a speaker. I've got the driver's seat set up here the way that I would traditionally drive. And inside of the second row, I've got a good amount of knee space and foot space. And headspace, with me sitting fully upright, I can fit back here with maybe like an inch roughly of head clearance space. So 6 feet, maybe 6'1", you should be okay in the second row here. The seats are comfortable. They're not as comfortable as the first row, but surprisingly nice. Getting 3 full-size adults would be a little bit tricky. So you've got a little hump on the floor right here. So a teeny little hump. So could you fit 3 full-size adults? Possibly, but like I said, it's going to be a little bit tight. There's no mat pocket behind the driver's side. Tiny little one along the passenger with your basic HVAC controls there, based off of the driver's side climate. There's some power points down low, a little storage area there. Up overhead, there's a little handle and a little light control there too. From here, exact same along the side too. So a little handle, light control, but there's also a cargo hook there too. Outside of that, you've got some cup holders built right into the seat there. Anchor points are in low, top tethers in behind the seat. But as I was mentioning, the big benefit of the hatchback version is just all the extra space that you get. And it is nice having some extra headroom on top of that. I was in the regular K4 GT line, and honestly, it's pretty much the exact same car. Obviously, with the big difference being that you have a great amount of cargo space inside of the hatchback version of the K4. In the non-hatchback version, you still get an okay amount of trunk space, but it's just night and day difference. Since this is the GT line, fully loaded with tech, and the on-road handling here, 1.6 liter engine, this likes to fly. The on-road handling there was good, and I'm gonna give the K4 this. It's not too noisy in the first row. You hear a little bit of road noise, but it's not terrible. So it's not something that you couldn't live with. And that was a look at the Kia K4 Hatchback GT-Line. The way that you should probably look at if you need more boot space and you want a good amount of power at the same time. But you can find all of the build details for this one down in the description with all the tech walkthrough videos, along with links off to Kia Canada and US. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until next time, take care.